No, I think it's first reading.
If it's not a number I don't recognize and it's out of Hannibal,
It shows up on Beverly Hills. So then it's really
I don't answer it. But I figure if it's important and they really want to talk to me, they'll leave a message.
I haven't seen our like this that full, and I don't know how long. I mean, matter of fact,
Especially on some of those that do answer where I don't recognize the number or it's out of town.
somebody, Brian Powell,
I'll answer it and hello. And there's nothing. Hello. And I know like his salespeople wait for the screen to come up. Yeah.
get their main report
Yeah.
at like a place of business.
and all that from the with the they get I think it works.
Right.
I read a couple of them. I don't really read a whole bunch of emails that don't
So,
come.
but that's what I go by. If that, and I've tried to tell people that. If you call and I don't recognize the number, chances are I won't.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers. This is the City of Hannibal official council agenda. This time I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem Munger.
Here.
Councilman Haycraft. Here. Councilman Cohen.
Here.
Councilman Leaders.
Here.
Councilman Fleetwood.
Here.
And Mayor McCoy.
Here. There being a quorum, I call this meeting to order. This time I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem Munger to lead us in the invocation.
Father God, we just come before you and we ask for your guidance, your wisdom in this meeting tonight. May we guide for the city and the safety of this town, this community, and for all that is best for it. We thank you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, if you stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. All right, council, first item of business is approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled council meeting, July 7th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, approval of payroll and claims for the first half of July of 2026.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion on that item? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. No public comments? All right. No one signed up for public comments. So next on the agenda is Kyle Mack. If you want to come up to the podium, sir.
Basically going to read from this piece of paper that I set up. I'm here because I wanted to speak with you guys about a variance that I needed on a property at 320 North 3rd. So as most of you know, I'm Comac, and I'm the owner of the commercial property down at 320 North 3rd Street. I'm here tonight asking for your help regarding a recent planning and zoning decision about the small signs on our south fence line. The commission felt that they had to deny the variance basically because looking strictly at the literal letter of the text, they classified them as off-premise advertising. While I completely respect their perspective and the strict code enforcement job they have to do, I'm here to ask you all to look at this from a broader property rights standpoint. Under our city charter, this council has the unique authority to look at the bigger picture and consider how these rules actually impact the local investors' basic right to maximize the economic use of their land. Looking at the actual geography where my property sits, we're not located on Main Street in the pedestrian corridor by the Mark Twain Museum or any of the other attractions down there. We're on 3rd Street, which is also busy Highway 79. Because of how the H1 historic district is drawn, the boundary line splits right down the center of the road. If you're standing on the east side of the street going south toward Broadway, you are inside the district. If you cross over to the west side, you're completely outside of it. Right down the street from my location on 3rd, there are active standard commercial billboards. Because of an arbitrary line down the middle of the asphalt, a property owner across the street has full freedom to utilize sign visibility, while my property is strictly penalized for trying to do the exact same thing. First, let's look at my insurance agency sign, which is on the fence there. The city's technical concern is that my office isn't physically located inside the restaurant building on that lot. but under Chapter 32 of our city code, zoning rules apply to the entire legal lot or parcel of land, not just the building's footprint. I'm the sole deeded owner of 320 North 3rd, and our application formally designates this entire parcel as a combined commercial restaurant and a professional business location. Because this sign is inside my actual property lines to highlight my own business affairs is legally on my premise. Second, let's talk about the directory sign for Clemens General Store and Java Jive. This exact fence line traditionally held giant commercial billboards owned by Lamar Advertising. So we didn't add new clutter to Highway 79. We drastically, those were taken down, so we drastically shrunk the visual footprint. As the property owner, I'm simply utilizing my own land's perimeter to host a small, tasteful directory that helps others find an established merchant right around the corner. Think about what we see all over downtown every single day on the blocks nearby. Look at the outdoor signs for local commercial properties. We routinely see outdoor umbrellas covered with beer company logos, large banners with soft drink corporate logos hanging on the outside of buildings, and neon brand signs glowing right in the windows. Technically speaking, under a strict reading of the code, those are all advertising off-premise corporate products, but nobody classifies them as prohibited commercial billboards because we recognize them as the normal practical fabric of doing business downtown. What I'm doing on North 3rd Street is no different. I'm not leasing out space to national outside brands like Lamar used to do. If we accept this kind of corporate branding to help businesses on Main Street, we should support a property owner on a highway corridor using his own land to keep downtown commerce moving. Our city ordinance explicitly states that a variance is designed to step in when a rigid rule hurts how a property can be reasonably utilized. For me, forcing these signs down is a direct hit to my rights as a property owner and the financial value of my investment. I don't own Wayne Barbecue, I'm strictly the landlord. I invest in and lease out the physical building as well as the specialized business equipment and personal property used to run the business. My return on that investment depends entirely on the location staying visible and successful on a high traffic highway. Taking away these signs from the fence line that has been commercial advertising on it for decades doesn't make our downtown look any better or cleaner. It just acts as an unfair financial penalty on me as a local property investor. It builds an unnecessary barrier to the success of a property I have worked hard to improve, and it hurts my basic rights to use my land to drive revenue. I respectfully ask that you overturn the commission's decision and approve the variance. So that's all I had. We've got some signs down there, and we're just asking if we can keep them up. So that was all. So
When was the large sign removed?
I bought the property in March of 25, and I think they were cut down.
Because it was a
probably.
full billboard, wasn't it?
There was two of them side by side. I'll give you a picture of it. So if you want to look at it, it's because it's still on Street View on Google. They were big metal. They were big, and they were on steel posts, but they cut them off and took them away. And then I didn't want to have that wall there because a little kid could just go over there and fall off of it. So I put like a white picket fence up and then put some ads on there, which initially I was told, to do that. And then later on I was told I shouldn't do that. So then, just because of different rules.
So when you say they cut them down and took them away, who's they?
Lamar, they owned them. They were actually Lamar billboards, like the big corporate billboards. And that's why I felt like the law was passed for downtown specifically. I mean, I think that the nature of the law was to keep those kind of billboards out of the downtown area, like the big digital steel billboards and the other things that you would have that, just like the state has for the highway. Because my own personally, I've gotten leases for billboards, out by the Rocket and that, and you have to get with the state and they have to go inspect it before you put the board up. And I think that's what the law was passed for. I mean, I wasn't here, but I'm assuming that it was passed to keep the big corporate billboards out, not just a tasteful little directory on a white fence. We're not in the pedestrian corridor, it's the Highway 79, and people drive by there a lot, and we get a lot of customers going in to Wayne Barbecue, and they ask me about those signs. And I mean, the intent was to just have downtown business on there, and that way it just keeps it. I'm not wanting to put somebody from out of town or somebody corporate. It's going to be like Java Jive or J Dubs or Social House or or Finn's or Vino 573, those places. Frozen Sippies or whoever else, you know. But that was kind of the intent. So, you know, that's what I'm asking for, is to be able to keep the signs up.
So when was the line drawn down the middle of the street, which changed the rules, do you know?
80s? It's a downtown historic district. It's whenever the historic district was created.
I would anticipate that those billboards probably predated at least having billboards in that location. From remembering when I was a kid, there have been billboards there a long, long time, and I'd say what happened was they were grandfathered in because they existed prior to the ordinance. But if you take them down, if you don't replace them within 1 year, as I recall under our ordinances, then you lose your grandfather status. So that's probably why the whole sequence of events came about. But to Mr. Mack's point, those billboards were there a long time. I mean, I remember them being there when I was a kid, and I'm getting old.
And I can't tell you exactly when they were taken down, but I'm thinking it's probably about 6 months before we bought the place, because it was owned by Carlock Cars, and their daughter ran it. I think they had some sort of problem, you know, once they passed away, her parents, she was getting the lease money off those signs, and then I don't know if she got in a dispute with them or what, and then they were taken down. And I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking, you know, my guess was within, because they were there one day and gone the next, and I'm thinking it was within a year of me buying the place. So, but I can't confirm that 100%.
I think with multiple signs already on 79, and appreciate your improvement to that area. Looks really good and tasteful. I would definitely make the motion to approve keeping the signs at that location, and maybe along that corridor, keeping it something much more smaller, if we could write a variance along those lines. Being that is a high traffic Highway 79 point, that I think it's a little different than if it was on Main Street. That'd be a little bit of different discussion.
Well, I agree. And before we second that, I'd like to add, Mr. Mack is correct. We were, in planning and zoning, we were following the letter of the law as it was written. I don't think it's just, if we're gonna change it, let's change the rule, because it seems maybe a little antique, to do that. James?
And I'm not talking about Mr. Mack's location, but if you start allowing off-premises signs down in the main historic district, A, it's going to be very problematic. B, you're going to get a lot of pushback from some of the downtown merchants who are not going to, they want to keep a particular look and appearance. And if you just change the ordinance or change the rule, I think there's a lot of people who are going to push back and are going to tell you it's a bad idea. If you're talking about giving Mr. Mack a variance, that's a different thing. The other route you could go is you could take his restaurant out of the historic district. You know, it's not the building, and I'm not trying to take something away from him. I'm just saying it's not really the style of building that has to be included in the historic district. I know several years ago there was some discussion about the Mark Twain Dinette and the possibility of them removing themselves from the historic district. There was talk about it. It didn't occur, but just because, you know, they've also have a different operation and a different appearance than things in the historic district. So I would caution you against making wide sweeping changes to the sign rules. If you're gonna make a change, I think you ought to do one or two things. You ought to either trim off the stuff that you don't think really goes with the historic district, or go ahead and grant his variance.
Yeah, I was thinking more on boundaries, less than changing the rules, changing the boundaries. It seems, from not being here forever, I thought the other side of the street was part of the historic district too. I didn't know. It all seems the same to me. It seems a little unusual, and I thought about, Mayor and I had a conversation about that. What rules apply on one side of the street don't apply on the other. It's right there as part of the whole downtown area. That's my point. I don't know that I have an answer, but I had a point.
My question also would be, why weren't they discussing those large Lamar signs before in the past? And once that was put up as that ordinance in place.
I'm pretty confident they were grandfathered.
Grandfathered.
And if they were owned by Lamar, Lamar's pretty protective of their lease rights, et cetera, et cetera. So probably it wasn't a fight that anybody wanted to have, but also under our ordinances, especially the way our ordinances were in the 80s, grandfathering was a little stronger even back then. Now, we changed a few of the issues with the grandfathering in like early 2000s to set some timelines and tweak it a little bit, et cetera, et cetera. I'm confident the grandfathering expired for having signs at the location, but that's not to say that you all can't do some type of a variance if that's what you're inclined to do.
And I'm not opposed to variance. I guess my whole concern in this is, and I understand historic district, but Third Street is so much different than Main Street. Like we're almost two entirely different entities, just appearance-wise.
Yeah.
I think that when they created the historic district, I think the idea was, well, we got to put a boundary someplace.
Right.
And I think Third was a logical place they felt to stop, because if you look at the side streets as they come up to Third Street, you've got a lot of historic buildings that come up the streets. When you get on up to Third Street, Highway 79, obviously, that's a lot more business buildings,
Right.
commercial buildings. But I think they stopped where they stopped because, well, that's what
That seemed to make sense, yeah.
geographically made sense to them.
Side
and it was-
streets are definitely
Right.
historic yet, so.
Right.
So if we do agree to a variance, we are now setting precedent on other people that want to put signs up, that we can review that.
Okay. To make a decision to give Mr. Mack his request, you all need to make a finding that it is that the ordinance as it exists unreasonably burdens him and interferes with his ability to use his property. If someone else comes to you and convinces you effectively that it is an unreasonable burden upon his property use and it is not outweighed by the intent, yeah. But recognize that it's not a straight, if you give it to one person, you got to give it to another. Each situation in a variance request is going to be different, and each one you have to look at a lot of factors. You have to look at what's the history of the property, what's the nature of the property, what's the variance being requested, how is it impinging upon the property owner's rights, how would allowing the variance impinge upon neighboring property rights. So you've got to look at all of those things. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be too freaked out about, if we do it now, we're just going to have everybody come in and demanding signs. They may all come in and demand, but each one needs to be analyzed for all those factors.
There's not a lot of other opportunities
I'm good
in
with
that.
that.
There's not a lot of other opportunities in that corridor to issue a variance because there's not a lot of free wall space in that district. But I mean,
And I kind of had a feeling someone was going to ask that question, so I kind of did a little homework. So I had an answer for you, and maybe it'll make more sense. James is a lawyer, so sometimes it's hard to understand. That's a joke. Well, anyway, so variances are designed by city code to address unique property-specific hardships. My property sits directly on Highway 79 corridor where commercial billboards already exist right down the street, and where the historic district line literally ends across the asphalt. Granting a variance for a specific lot on a highway border that replaced giant corporate signs doesn't set a precedence for quiet pedestrian blocks on Main Street. So it's going to be each individual one. And when we came here to even do the exterior of the building, we had to come here and meet with the historic district just to paint the outside, just to do anything outside. We had to get approval to put that copper smokehouse up. Everything was like it had to be pushed through. And luckily for me, it was pretty easy. It wasn't near as hard as some of the other businesses I've heard, but we said at that time, you know, I mean, I know it sounds like a lot, but you got to trust us. I was like, we're going to do it tasteful. We're not going to make it look like a big Lego or something, you know, which one guy said he wanted to do with that building, by the way. And so these signs here, I mean, we put up a white fence, which is kind of in the, when I said painted white, you know, it's Tom Sawyer, you know, we got a white fence. Let's put up some ads on there, and they're not big ads. They're just aluminum, and they're made by a sign company. 3x5, and I think Java Jive and Clemens Store, they did a double one, which is like 6x8 or something like that, and they split it. She was going to do 2 signs, and I said, just make it one, I'll let you have the end, you know, because right around the corner, those signs, when people see them, you know, it's like, okay, they're going down 3rd Street. I'm not saying, hey, go to Walmart. I'm saying, hey, you know, Clemens Store and Java Jive are right around the corner, and that just kind of sparks that thought, you know. And if it was for anything else down there, like the trolley or anything else, you know, if they want to put an ad up there, you know, then I'll come back or whatever I need to do to put that ad up there, and I'll try to make it as tasteful as possible. But since we're on that corridor, and I can understand why the historic district did the way they did it, because if you saw the property lines back there, you can't tell where it ends and where it starts. That Mike Miles owns that building behind me, and we can't figure out who even owns the billboard that we've got painted black between his building and mine. He says he owns it. I said, whatever. So it's almost like a DMZ right there, that sign. No, it's just painted black. I painted black, and he said he owns it. And I said, well, I'd like to at least make it not look like plywood, and that's what it was before. So.
Okay.
I got a question, if I may.
Yep.
This has been ongoing for some time, and I've heard from multiple places downtown, multiple individuals, for you to do this. I haven't heard anything negative. Has there been any negative that anybody else has heard?
Nobody's reached out to me personally.
I don't know how many people know about it, so I do want to add something real quickly to kind of show the uniqueness of the area. So 3rd Street Historic District is only 2 blocks. It's not the whole thing. It is just from North to Hill and Hill to Bird. Bird to Center, Center to Broadway is not in the Historic District. So it's only these 2 blocks. The block Mr. Mack's in and the restaurant, the Ninette. So
Dinette, yeah.
make that make sense. So.
And the only negative we did hear was at the planning and zoning, they had concerns about following the rules that we had. That was it.
From the HDDC.
Yeah, from me, yeah, that was it.
And you mentioned the signs you do have are advertising businesses that are right downtown there.
Right. Well, the only one that would be possibly considered off premise would be my insurance agency, which that's why I was kind of discussing that it's zoned, you know, as a commercial restaurant, but also as a commercial property. So I'm just taking advantage of being able to maximize the value of the land by putting some signs up there, and one of them being mine. So technically, I don't know how legal would look at it, but it's kind of an on-premise for me. But it's the Java Jive and the Clemens Store that would be really more of an off-premise. Right. I mean, there's a lot of that going on, but it's kind of pick and choose on some of that stuff. And even though, you know, like Councilor Fleetwood said, I feel like that if I need to do something down there, I don't mind coming here, because if you pass a law that says you have billboards, like James said, you'll have problems. Right. And I think they want to keep it cleaned up down there.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Got a motion?
I do have a motion
I'll
still,
second.
and I now have a second. Any
Before
other
you all-
discussion?
Before you all vote, can I ask you, because on a variance, we need to write it up and we need to record it in the land records, because otherwise, 15 years from now, nobody's gonna remember, and there's gonna be a new fight, whether it be for Kyle or whoever owns it at the time. So I have no problem with writing up a variance, and I think that's the way you all are gonna vote, but I wanna make sure I understand. So what we're gonna do is allow him to put off-premises signs. My question is, are you going to limit it to what he specifically has there? So in other words, the existing signs that are there, or are you just opening it up? You could put a new billboards up, because I think that's an issue that I need to know for the variance.
I don't think there's
Do
room to
you
put a
plan
whole
on
lot
putting more?
I don't have room for but a couple more, and honestly, I was just wanting to come here tonight to get approval for what I had, but But if I was gonna put any more up, which I kind of was planning, I was gonna have to come back. Because I was, I was basically gonna talk to like Vino 573 and different places and say, hey, you wanna put a it's almost like I'm getting rent off that. It's just maximizing my land. So
Kyler,
if
you're
you would
saying just
approve-
on that
yeah,
picket
if you
fence.
would approve me to have only on the fence, we're
On the
not
fence.
going anywhere else. It's not going, and they're small, tasteful. If we could get approved where I could put some more up there and we'll just keep it on the fence, and that was it. And there's probably room for two
I
or three
understand
more.
the concept, so what we're saying is, there's a picket fence, and somebody can tell me how tall it is, I've driven past it, I have no idea. But, that, on a picket fence that's of
I
a
think
particular
it's
height,
6 foot tall or something.
that he can put off premises signs on that picket fence. Is that an appropriate variance? Is that, Kyle, is that jibe with what
Yeah,
you're looking
yeah.
for?
Does
Just
it need to
white
be
fence.
limited on how much or the size? Because
What's that?
does it need to be limited to size?
Well, that, my concern on size was if you're talking about the existing fence,
It's got a fit on it.
Yeah.
So it's
Can't
not
get
gonna
much
go any
bigger.
bigger than 6 foot tall.
so I can put, I mean, you guys can approve it. I can draft the language. The question is, do you want it to go, I guess what I'm saying is, do you want to trust me? Or do you want to come back to the next meeting and vote and do a final vote? I mean, you can vote to instruct me to do it.
How about we
I
trust
think
and
I
verify?
understand.
Trust and verify, yeah.
Okay.
Should I amend my motion to approve the commercial owner to allow signs strictly on the fence, a variance on the fence, according to his needs to better suit his business, I guess? Does that work?
Yep. Sounds good to me. So motion and a second. You good with his amended motion? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, council. All right, next item on the agenda is under my name. It's approval of reappointment to the Park Board. This will be a second reading. We'll do them all together. It's Jake Buckman for an appointment for a term to expire July of 2029. Leanne Homberger for appointment for an unexpired term to expire July of 2029. And Chris Harsel for an appointment for a term to expire July of 2029. And I would entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next is approval of reappointment to the Hannibal Free Public Library. This is a second reading for Linda Spawn for an appointment for a term to expire in June of 2029.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And the last one that I have is for the Hannibal Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is a first reading for 2 recommendations of appointment. First being Michelle Huseman for an appointment for a term to expire September of 2031, and the second being Mary Short for an appointment for a term to expire in September of 2031. Again, no vote at this time, council. This is a first reading, and we'll have it back at the next council meeting for a second reading and a vote. I believe that is all that I have for you tonight, gentlemen. I'll turn it over to James Lemon, City Attorney, next on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So, this has kind of been floating around for a little while. Councilman Haycraft urged me to go ahead and finish it up. As you all know, we had started this process regarding concerns about banning kratom, and we had a speaker who had provided us with some information that perhaps it's not as simple an issue as we thought it was, that there are people calling themselves kratom that aren't actually, and the problem is more a drug known as 7-OH, I believe. But what we've done is we've taken our existing ordinance, which is an ordinance for use of mind-altering substances, and all we have done is to add to the definitions, if you style something kratom or OH, if you were selling it for the purposes as a mind-altering substance, that would be a violation of the ordinance. Frankly, in my opinion, it was probably already a violation of the ordinance as drafted, but we wanted to clarify because it is an area that didn't actually exist when I drew that ordinance up 10, 12 years ago. We also, because of the change in the Missouri Constitution, removed or made clear that marijuana is not included in it. So I believe it is effective. We have shared that with various committee members, and I am ready to take questions, and there is a proposed ordinance to follow first reading.
Okay, I'll start with a question. So I got about, I don't know, 15 emails. I don't know if you were on them all today, or if the council was on them all today, but probably 15 emails today regarding the issue. So it sounds like most of you got those as well. And I think the biggest takeaway, some of them were very lengthy emails with a lot of information, but the biggest takeaway that I took was that the kratom that's naturally grown is not used for mind altering. It's more for like pain management type stuff and everything. So basically the way that you have this written up, that will still, they can still purchase that because it's not mind altering. Is that
Correct, and it's my understanding also that there's probably some federal regulations and/or state regulations that are going to come down the pike and clarify it. Our issue right now is going to be, you know, and the point I made is it's no different than 12 years ago when people were selling something and calling it bath salts. It absolutely was not bath salts. It was a drug that was intended to be smoked and get you high. So that's the intent of the ordinance is if you're selling it as a mind-altering substance, we've got the right to have our police come in and do a check and talk about it and figure out what's going on and confiscate the material. If you can, after you've received a warning, if you continue to sell it, we can come in, confiscate. We're going to prosecute you in city court. But yeah, it's no different than hemp products are not, even before marijuana was legal, there were various hemp soaps and other things that arguably could have been made illegal, but they weren't for the intended purpose of getting high. So that's our point.
And that, my question would be, so technically we are already able to enforce the seizure of the 7OH products, correct?
Sure.
And after reviewing an email from a hardworking officer that went in undercover to multiple places throughout the town, he found, I tried to find the email real quick, but I couldn't find it. But it was about 50% of the places that he checked actually stocked it on hand.
So what we did when we were enforcing on the bath salts, because the bath salts were a major problem. Kids were smoking them, kids were wrecking their cars, they were freaking out, they were doing all kinds of stuff. So what we did when we initially passed the ordinance was, and I'm now finding things for the chief to have his officers do, but we had our officers go out, and every place where we believed they were selling it, we advised them, this is the ordinance. We see you got this on the shelf, you're on notice, we're going to start enforcing, and gave them all an opportunity to remove it from their shelves and stop selling it. So we weren't trying to go out and ambush people. We wanted to give them knowledge that, hey, this is a problem. And then I don't recall how long we waited, at least several weeks. It might have been as long as 30 days. But then we went back, and if they were still selling it, then we started enforcing. And admittedly, there were a few places that we figured out were selling it secretly and from under the counter, and we did some stings, and we got the bath salt problem pretty much clamped down. And I'm not saying that there aren't still people that sell some of those things, et cetera, but we got it under control pretty quickly using that process.
My question is when we talk about 7OH is the bad part of it.
Right.
But yet, in kratom, in the natural form, still has amounts of 7OH in it, naturally. You know, so wouldn't that, by same
I don't know.
statute,
Here's
be illegal?
the problem, Councilman. I don't believe that I am qualified to make any kind of a chemical decision as to, you know, what meets that purpose. If things, it's easy for us to go in, and if it's being marketed for the purposes of it's a mind-altering substance, we know to enforce against that. Analysis of the chemical substances, et cetera, the state struggles with that. And I don't think it's something that we should try to take on. What our concern is going to be is if people are selling it for the purposes of smoking it or ingesting it in order to alter someone's mind, that's problematic, and that's going to be something where we're going to, and remember, what we've got is a municipal ordinance violation. So if they're prosecuted, it's going to be $100. But the well, the first time. But where it's gonna be problematic for them is we're gonna seize the product as evidence, and if it's determined that that's what they were selling it for, we're not going to return that product. So it's gonna be a financial investment. We're just gonna have it destroyed the same way as we would any other drug that we've seized as part of evidence. Yes,
So is pain management considered mind altering?
I would not think so, but, you know, here's my thing. Until such time as the federal government or the state government gives us some specific authority or some specific guidelines, it's beyond your all's ability to regulate this. So this is the best I can do for you. If it's not the way you want to go, you're not going to hurt my feelings at all, but I'm going to say the city of Hannibal has neither the technology nor the money to spend to figure out the technology to make a determination like that. So I would think that something being ingested for pain management is different, but I'm not the officers investigating, and you know, I don't know what's going on there. I certainly know that when people were selling bath salts, nobody was putting it in their bath water.
Yeah.
This also does address sale to minors.
It does.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Then I'm all in favor for it as long as it takes the ones that are labeled 7-OH, because that is, from my research, is what has been the most harmful product. And if
enhanced.
Chief, I mean,
7-OH.
can we pursue those perpetrators of that, or put them on warning, obviously?
Yeah, we absolutely can. We're,
Okay.
decide to do, it'll be a labeling issue, I would say, when we start looking, so.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for the city attorney, council? If not, that'll be bill number 26-009 to follow for a first reading.
Thank you,
Thank
James.
you, James.
Sure.
All right, next on the agenda, Andy Dorian, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a handful of things tonight. First up, we have the engineering service agreement with Hutchinson Engineering for the Red Devil Road reconstruction project. Obviously, with the passing of the budget here a couple weeks ago, we're kicking off some of our projects for the 26-27 season. This road is in desperate need of replacement. It's a concrete road. It's the main road going into the General Mills plant for employees, for all the trucking, and for the Bear Creek warehouse. It's a major road for economic development, and it'll be a complicated project, to say the least, because we're gonna have to keep one lane open off of the highway for in and out, and so there's a lot of coordination that goes in this. So this would be the design and bidding services portion of the project, and that is for $75,000. So resolution to follow.
Any questions on that item, council?
Does General Mills help offset any of those costs, or is that strictly city?
It's a city street.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
Okay, next up's our big one for the night, and we have some guests in the audience. As the council's aware, we've been working on a housing development project with SMB DEB management for quite a while now. This is something that Councilman Fleetwood brought to us. It's been a while now, and so we've been going through all the legal processes, and this is a pretty exciting project. Clayton, would you like to come up? Mr. Fleetwood, would you like to introduce Clayton, since you brought him to us?
Oh, sure. So, this is Clayton Patterson. He's from Arizona. He's with Patterson, and actually SMDB Management. We met through some connections on a couple other projects we were working on here. Way back when we had a solar project that we were looking at for potential for some city buildings. In the process, we met up with Clayton. We talked with him about our housing needs here. You know, there's no way one project's gonna fix everything that we need, but we have to start. And Clayton was gracious enough to come out and meet with a lot of the stakeholders at the city. Met with folks from the Public Works Department, met with Maria from Economic Development, a lot of the city officials. We met with the Chamber of Commerce, and it was a really good meeting. In the process, then Clayton and Andy, and he can say, I did nothing. I just introduced him. Andy's been working, and James, on the legal ease to get all the contracts under the legal terms. The benefit of this project, and maybe I don't know if you want me to go into that, is we have a lot of lots that are not only eyesores, they're not producing any taxes for the city, and they're actually costing us money to maintain them and try to keep them clear. So we're not just addressing a initial housing need, but we're addressing getting rid of a lot of the lots. We won't own them anymore. We won't be responsible for managing them anymore. And it will be reducing the responsibility of the city. And Clayton knows that quite well. And they're taking on that responsibility, working with the state on tax credits and working on other things so that we can start building houses on property that's currently not being used. So we're very excited. I know Andy and James have been working a long time with Clayton and his team, and that's all I got to say, and I'll let you guys take it from there.
Okay, thank you. Clayton, would you kind of just kind of go over where you're from and kind of what this project will look like?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to apologize, Andy and James, for all the time you've had to put into that. I know
it's been fine.
Our legal team was a little, they had a lot of things they wanted to go over, and as Mike has already said, a lot of that's related to the process for making sure bases are covered for the tax credit syndicators when we get to that stage. But I'm Clayton Patterson, as has already been said. I'm from Arizona. I come from a third, fourth generation development construction family. We've been active in the state of Arizona for over 100 years, and since then have expanded, have done projects in about 10 states, several foreign countries, and gotten quite a bit of experience with residential construction development, having done about 6,000 total units. And over the past couple decades, we focused more on affordable housing. We've done about 400 units of those, and about 106 low-income housing tax credit units, and that's what we're planning to do here. We've got another 84 that are approved and starting construction in Arizona for this year. So it's not something that is completely new to us. We are a little new to doing it in Missouri, so we're learning a few things here and there, but fortunately it's a federal program and most things are pretty similar. What we're looking to do is take those lots that have previously not been producing anything, get them back on the tax rolls for you guys, maintain them while we're going through the process of getting the project approved with the state Department of Housing. And then once we've got approval, breaking ground, building. The nature of the project is such that due to the legal requirements for the tax credits, we have to hold the project for a minimum of 15 years. So when we build, we're going to be building with that in mind, building something that we intend to hold for a long time, make it easy on maintenance, and hopefully that transfers over to, at the after 15-year point, so that whether it's us staying here or if we end up selling and someone else comes in, that there's good quality products, good quality houses in the market. The idea from an economic standpoint is that it's good for us because we're able to do it fairly easy. Infill lots mean minimal development costs, minimal time wasted on that. And it's good for all the various neighborhoods because you start having new high quality houses going up in each neighborhood. And in theory, that's intended to spur some additional investment. When people see new construction, there should be a desire to fix up what they've already got. Maybe other builders come in. We're doing something a little bit different. It's something we're doing on our projects in Arizona, but we're including solar and geothermal in the design. The idea is that in addition to the rent caps that the low-income housing tax credit program designates, that we'll also be able to keep utility costs down. And that ought to be good for the tenants and kind of fill the gap there where, you know, I've seen a lot of beautiful homes being built in the community, but I haven't seen, and maybe I just haven't looked in the right places, but I haven't seen a lot of good starter options for people coming in and just, you know, early point in their career, or maybe fixed income seniors, people who are in need of that lower cost to rent. I think the only other thing coming to mind, there's probably other things worth mentioning, but the other thing that's coming to mind is that in the agreement that we've bounced back and forth, if we're not able to get the project approved within a reasonable time frame, I don't remember the exact time frame, I think 3 years, not just approved, but get the project actually broken ground and get the building underway, that we will return the land. We're not looking to have any compensation for that. Either we come through on what we commit to do, or we give it back to you as is or better than we got it.
Have you worked on projects like this before for the tax credits and stuff like that in other communities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very cumbersome process.
I'm sure.
You've got to deal with several agencies at the state level. The 4% low-income housing tax credit projects require that you have public bonds and private activity bonds, which are a type of public bond. For that, you have to have a development authority issue the bonds. You have to get an allocation of bonds from the state finance authority. You have to get the project approved with the Department of Housing. All the certifications have to happen at the federal level. So there's a lot of work, and that's why, you know, people might hear the 3-year time frame and think, what do you guys need 3 years for to build 27 houses? But the actual building is something that we know we can knock out fast. We've done projects where we've built 300-400 houses in the course of 5 or 6 months. Building them's the easy part. It's all the
red tape,
the bureaucracy that's going to take at the time.
Do you utilize any local crews, or do you have all internal?
So on our projects in Arizona, we have a lot of internal workforce because we've been operating there for 100 years, but our goal here is to use almost exclusively local, or at least firms from within the state. We'll probably send one person out from our core team to be, you know, feet on the ground, coordinating and supervising, make sure that everything's up to standards. But our intention is to work with local companies, local firms, local suppliers.
And I don't want to put you on the, well, I guess I do. I'll put you on the spot. Would you explain a little bit why you thought Hannibal was a good place for you to come all the way from Arizona for?
Well, initially I wasn't super convinced because I had never been here. I'd never had much experience with not just Hannibal, but the state of Missouri, frankly. And so there was a little bit of concern initially because we'd have to be working with they're all the same types of agencies, but it's a new state, and so it would be a new process for us. And so there was some concern, but after doing a little bit of research into the history of the town, I decided I needed to at least come out here. I grew up reading Mark Twain, and I couldn't resist a trip out here to at least meet and discuss it. But what I found in the initial discussions and meetings were that the city of Hannibal has leadership who has goals that align well with what we're trying to do. There's a very clear effort at revitalization. There's action being taken. It's not a community sitting around waiting for other people to come and solve problems. It's a proactive community that is addressing issues. The lots previously had structures on them that if we would have had to deal with would have been, it's not a matter of the cost of demolition, but sometimes the potential red tape or other challenges that could be involved. And when finding out that the city went ahead and took the initiative to remove those before we'd even met anybody, kind of sent a message, and then my experience in every conversation I've had since being out here has been that this is a proactive community, and those are the places that we like to work.
Thank you, Clayton.
Thank you.
So from the legal perspective and what we heard for tonight, we're recommending selling 27 lots. They're empty lots to Clayton's group. The list of those lots are in your packet. The sale price would be $250 per parcel. And like Clayton said, there's a 3-year clawback on that. So if nothing gets going after 3 years, it reverts back to us. Clayton's group will own them, put them back on the tax roll, and maintain them. So from the city's perspective, very low risk, high reward. I know there's one developer in the room who's actually doing some infill housing, which is great, but there's not a lot of that going on. So to find somebody that's willing to come in and do that is significant. A lot of communities are looking for this. And so this would be really exciting. And I know from my perspective, our office will do everything we can to assist wherever we can. So that is our recommendation, and that's a resolution to follow.
It's a good spread of addresses listed too.
Yes.
They're upside down, but.
Any other questions for Clayton or Andy over that, council? Clayton, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Pleasure to see you again. And
Likewise.
council, that'll be resolution 2626-26 to follow for approval.
Okay. Next up, we've obviously talked about this many, many times, is the airport fuel farm project. It's already been approved. The project is hopefully going to start in September, but the many, many grants that it takes to get this done. So this is the next installment. It is for initial grant up to $635,614 coming from the federal and state. Our local match is $49,127. It does not cover everything. There is another, at least one grant coming, maybe two, just the way that the feds break everything up coming. So, but this is the next amount we will need to get reimbursed. So.
Questions on that, council? If there are none, that'll be bill number 26-011 to follow for first reading.
Okay, last thing I have, obviously this was approved in the budget. For many, many years now, we've been looking at trying to find some solutions to the hauling of our water at the landfill. We have 2 leachate ponds where we are mandated by DNR and EPA to haul from there. We haul over 2 million gallons of water every year. Right now, we only have our small 2,200-gallon tanks. It takes a significant amount of time and equipment to do this, and especially when we have the heavy rains that we've had. So we looked for a while at building a treatment plant, and we went through the process with DNR, and we had about $1 million saved to do that through ARPA money. And that does not look like it's going to be able to happen due to several requirements, and so we need to kind of pivot to the next step. So we've been looking at water trucks for quite some time, and so we're recommending the purchase of a new Freightliner. That truck it's a brand new truck, $261,591. The also benefit of this truck is it is also a hook truck. So we do our own 30-yard roll-off dumpsters for our demos and abatements, tree hauling. This will be able to do that as well. So if our current truck, which is used and it's a lot older, right now if it breaks down, we can't demo. We can't do abatements. We can't do some of our tree trimmings. So this offers a backup to that, and we like to try to do that and not have one-off vehicles. And so this will probably be one of the most valuable trucks we own for the next 10 years. It will do a lot of work. So.
And how much water will this haul?
It is a 4,000-gallon tank, so it'll
Almost
do double the work. Yep.
And you said we do have the money?
We do. It is budgeted. Yes.
Okay.
And is there a possibility of because I know they have to drive down to those ponds, any way of putting pump stations up so they have a?
Yeah, as part of this, we are going to upgrade our pumps. The pumps that we're getting in are electric instead of gas powered, and so we are working on that. We looked at the possibility of actually building a pump station at the top, but the amount of money, it was going to be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. It's not worth it. So we just are going to get a couple $1,000 new pumps. The time we just wasn't going to. It's not going to pan out to save that much money and time. So yeah. But we did look at it, for sure.
How much longer are we projecting
Forever.
pumping this water out? Forever?
Forever.
Okay.
So, landfill, for those that don't know, it's a very complicated thing. If any of the water comes out of that leachate pond, it's a $65,000 fine day one. We have to do constant testing, constant monitoring, constant reports to DNR, inspections. It's a very, very difficult process. So, running that water is the number one priority, to make sure those ponds don't overfill. So,
Curiosity, do they ever test it? What kind of toxins are in it?
they test them every quarter. So
What's in it?
I don't even know the words. It's
Oh.
just I can send you the reports.
Seant and,
Yeah,
yes.
it's all sorts of
Very
different things, but it's
scientific.
anything that would be leaching through in an old landfill from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, so.
Interesting.
But yeah,
Who knows?
who knows? And that's why the water can't overtop and get into the streams, and it has to be hauled out. And all that water is hauled to the treatment facility downtown, so.
And how much do we normally have to haul out each day?
It's 2 million gallons a year. It depends on, obviously, the season. If you have no rain, you could probably go a couple weeks. This time of year right now, we're hauling every single day, 6 days a week.
Okay.
And usually this would be a light season. You would assume being July's a little drier, so.
Yeah. There are times where we have 5 trucks going. And we have little tanks in every one of them, and we're just hauling. We only have 12 employees, so do the math on that. So.
Okay, if there's,
Yeah.
Over Easter holiday, I'm sure, had to.
if there's no other questions, council, I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the haul truck with hook lift from
So
Midway
moved.
Freightliner.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Andy. Next item on the agenda, Mark Kimker, Assistant Director of Central Services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I come to you again, just asking that the 4600 block of Stardust be rezoned to multifamily from 1 and 2 family.
And for those that weren't in attendance at the public hearing at 6:45, we did have a public hearing on this. Planning and Zoning had a public hearing. Every office recommends approval of this, including Planning and Zoning. And if you have no other questions, council, this will be Bill 26-010 to follow for a first reading. Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Next on the agenda, Alex Grody, Police Chief. Approval of sub-award agreement, Regional Homeland Security Grant.
Thank you, Mayor.
Chief?
Good evening, everybody. I have 2 things on the agenda tonight. One of them was started by Chief Naki back in 2025. It's a Homeland Security Grant for some mobile barriers. It was awarded to us then, but then with the government shutdown at the time, they froze the funds and it never got here. So that has been unfrozen at this point, and we've got the funds free for us to order it. I'm just asking that you let the mayor sign the documentation that'll get the ball rolling.
Are these the more like the barricades, like the steel barricades that you set up at the main entrances of the?
That's what they're for. They'll cover 2 lanes, up to
Okay.
2 lanes at a time. They come in pieces called links, and you can kind of expand it, contract it as you
Remember
need to.
explaining that.
It allows it to roll in and out of place too, and you can lock it down. So, if you need to let a car in, you can pull it out of the way and let somebody by and then move it back and lock it down.
It's a cool thing, and it's something we desperately needed. I think our ultimate goal, is Chief Naki and I's goal was to get them for everything, that we had to make a first step. They will make blocking off events significantly more easy than Jersey barriers.
That's good considering the history in the past few years. You've
Yeah.
seen a lot of
Yeah.
crazy things go on in
Yep.
those, so.
How many will you be able to purchase?
This will be it's $38,000, a little over $38,000. That purchase is 16 links, which will cover about 2 lanes of traffic wide. They have several other products that include a trailer for, mobility and much more volume. So, assuming this works the way we think it will, we might look at expanding that in the future.
Will these be easy to put up?
Yeah, one person can put them together with
Oh.
minimal tools. I mean, the more you have, the faster it'll go. But
Nice.
And you said it is mobile? You
Yes.
can move from place to place?
yeah, it breaks down into its component parts, goes into a storage crate, and you can move it around. It's heavy. That's why it comes with the trailer to get more of them. But
Sure.
Council, any other questions? If not, that'll be resolution 27-26 to follow for approval.
thank you.
And your next item, Chief.
Second item is just some surplus items I'd like to get permission to get rid of. One of them is a 2010 John Deere lawn tractor. served us well. It's got a lot of hours on it. It's not running great anymore. The Parks and Rec department has had it for the last several years because they've been nice enough to do our mowing for us, them and the street department in certain places. But we've got it back now. We don't really have the storage space for it, and we don't need it for anything. So we'd like to use Purple Wave, the auction site, to get rid of it and hopefully generate a little bit back to us. And then we have 4 of 8 of our bike patrol bicycles. They're mostly non-functional. They need some work to be functional. We don't utilize that many anymore. A lot of that's due to staffing. But we'd like to remove those from our fleet and look at maybe purchasing down the road some kind of e-bikes or something to expand the program. But I'd like permission to get rid of those. Montgomery City has shown some interest in those, and I think maybe they could utilize them better than we are, obviously.
It's nice seeing another departments share and
Right.
work together. It's
Yeah,
good.
I'd rather see that than, just go to waste some.
And I'd love to see our guys on those little mini e-bikes.
Yeah.
We can look at that, yeah. Smaller the better.
It'd be awesome.
D-Laport's got to do it first.
Move to approve the, getting rid of the surplus property.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second for approval of surplus property. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, council. You ready, Melissa?
I'm ready. Let's
All
go.
right. Next on the agenda, bill number 26-009. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Bill number 26-009, an ordinance revising Chapter 16 miscellaneous provisions and offenses, Article 4, offenses against public morals, Division 2, sale, possession, and consumption of illegal substances by revoking existing Section 16-138 and enacting a new Section 16-138 definitions. First reading.
Okay. Next, we have bill number 26-010. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Bill number 26-010, an ordinance rezoning 4600 block of Stardust in the city of Hannibal, Marion County, Missouri, from an A1 and 2 family to B multifamily and amending the city's zoning map accordingly. First reading.
All right, council, next we have bill number 26-011. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Bill 26-011, an ordinance approving a state block grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for improvements to the Hannibal Regional Airport fuel system, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and related documents, and providing for the city's required local match. First reading.
All right, council, next we have resolution 2625-26. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2625-26, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hannibal, Missouri, approving an engineering design agreement with Hutchison Engineering Incorporated for the Red Devil Road reconstruction project and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement. Mayor Pro Tem Munger,
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft,
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Councilman Leaders,
Yes.
Councilman Fleetwood.
Yes.
And I declare resolution number 2625-26 duly approved and adopted on this day. Next, we have resolution 2626-26. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 2626-26, a resolution authorizing the sale of certain city-owned residential lots to SMDB Land LLC for affordable housing development and authorizing the execution of associated conveyance documents. Councilman Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Councilman Leaders.
Yes.
Councilman Fleetwood.
Yes.
And I declare resolution 2626-26 duly approved and adopted on this day. And again, I would like to express my gratitude to Councilmember Fleetwood, City Manager Dorian, Clayton and his group on putting this together. I think it's gonna be Be a good step in the right direction for the community in affordable housing. Next, we have Resolution 2627-26. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Resolution 2627-26, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the acceptance documents for the 2025 Regional Homeland Security Grant awarded to the Hannibal Police Department. Mayor Pro Tem Munger.
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Councilman Leaders.
Yes.
And Councilman Fleetwood.
Yes.
I now declare Resolution 2627-26 duly approved and adopted on this day.
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second.
Many motions to adjourn
Wow.
and several seconds, it sounds like. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. See you in a couple weeks.
It's been a long time since I've called you Councilman Munger.
Figure that out.
I, in an email, so saying there's